In this video, I wanted to talk about a trailer that just released. This is for a game called Master of Command. It's being produced by the same guy that has a YouTube channel called Armchair Historian. He makes historical videos that are animated, very well put together. He produced a game, I think it was last year or 2 years ago. It didn't do as well. This one looks like he learned all of his lessons. He's put everything forward. The game looks incredible so far. I can't wait to try it out, but I figured we would talk about the trailer. I have spoken with him a couple times. This is not sponsored. He didn't ask me to do a video. It's something that I had on my list before I even reached out to him about this game, on my top 5 games that I'm looking forward to in 2025. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of it and we'll discuss a few things.
War is upon us, General. And
So first, I really love the scale. The unit size is massive. So it kind of like Total War, but the graphics are a bit different. The art style is a little bit different, but when you zoom out, I mean, it really does look like an actual battlefield in terms of the scale, the amount of troops that are on the field. So I'm a huge fan of that. And if you notice down here, you see these pot marks. There's these little divots. I've noticed in some of the trailers, you can actually see the cannonballs that are being shot and they skip along the ground. And it looks like they've got real collision. So there's some actual physics going on here. So that part very much so intrigues me. I'm a huge fan of these types of games, this era. My favorite game in the Total War series was, I liked Empire a lot, but I really enjoyed Napoleon Total War. And I'm a massive fan of spamming artillery. For some reason, I just really enjoy that. So can't wait to try that in this game as well. Another thing, this game kind of reminds me of Cossacks a little bit. Not exactly, but kind of similar in terms of like the scale of the units and the volley fire and all that. So anyways, just some things that came to my mind. Let's keep going.
you must take command. On the field, there's no second chance. Orders must be given clearly.
One thing that is kind of interesting with a game like this is the person that's in charge of making it is an actual historian, has been doing this for many years, making documentaries. From what I can tell, he's very passionate about this time period, so he researches a lot of this stuff if he doesn't already know it. And I know he already knows a lot of it, but I have seen some of his live streams where he goes on, Wikipedia pages that are specifically made for, certain units in an army. So pretty cool. I would imagine it's going to be very accurate to real life. A lot of these flags look incredible as well. That's one aspect of this game that I thought was pretty interesting as well. And I think we'll see a screenshot of it later where you can customize the uniforms, the flags. You can customize so many different things, or you can just use the historical uniforms. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Timing, position, and discipline will decide the day.
Yeah, see, you could see the cannonball skipping right here. And then I love the fact that they've got their artillery on an elevated position. You can shoot over your troops' heads. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get my hands on this one.
Before a single shot.
Now, this is what I was talking about before. You can do a lot of customization here. So you can customize the flags, the patterns, so there's primary, secondary, and uniform facing colors. I know some games have this more than others. I'm coming mostly from Bannerlord, where you had like 30 or 40 just generic flags that you couldn't really mess with too much. So this looks like it's very customizable. I would say maybe a bit more similar to like a Manor and probably even more in depth than what Manor provides. So I'm pretty excited to mess with this.
Equipping them for the road ahead. Supplies, uniforms, and standards are yours to set. 5 nations marched.
Now let's take a look at some of these. This is the starting screen where you select which nation you want to play as. So I believe there is, let's see, this is Russia, that's UK, France, I believe, is that Habsburg, so that would be Austria, right? And then I know let's see, that's Russia. I don't know, what is this one? Can we go back a little bit? Yeah, Prussia. Okay, there we go. Prussia. So this is, I guess, the northern Germany. Germany didn't quite exist yet, but it would come soon after this, I believe. But you could see here, you've got some positives, some negatives for choosing these. And then if I'm not mistaken, you can choose some different, there's other modifiers you can take. And as you beat the game or complete certain objectives, you will unlock more of these that are more sophisticated. So you can choose somebody like, for example, these guys have poor artillery. I would still play him for fun somewhere down the line, but I would love to find somebody that has a very big focus on artillery and just spam the crap out of them. But I don't know, maybe that's not even viable. But let's see what other ones. So here we go. The Habsburg, they got flexible army, great artillery. Sign me up, I'm in. They've got slow reloading and poor heavy infantry. That's fine. I'd rather shoot people than go in up close and stab them.
March to war.
And then we've got, yeah, you can see some of the other things down here. I saw that they had changed the Hungarian Vanguard. So infantry charge damage. So some of the special units, there's so many things to keep in mind. So this is, it can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing, maybe for like a new player that might feel overwhelmed with all the different options that they can pick from. But for somebody that likes to get in there and you know, min-max or do unique builds to complete a challenge, something like this is really interesting. So for example, if you wanted to do something where you were only using infantry without using muskets, let's say you would only use bayonets, you'd maybe load up heavily on this. So infantry charge damage, you wouldn't even worry about the reload speed. So something like this might be kind of interesting to look at. But yeah, there's all kinds of special units that you can choose from each nation that you play. Let's see what the next one is. So provisions stolen or doubled, larger numbers, great melee. Oh yeah, that's Russia for you, right? Just throw bodies at the problem. Disparate unit trees and slow moving. So that might be kind of interesting. And then we got the UK here. So Britain and Hanover. What do they have? Highly disciplined, flexible army. So this is, you know, the high quality. You got to be very careful with them, but they will destroy people when they get their hands on them. Fewer number and poor cavalry. Got it. And then what about France? So France is massive numbers, excellent cavalry, low morale, and poor officers. So that could be an interesting one to, again, just spam the crap out of units and overwhelm people.
You'll cross villages and forests.
Now, this is something that I remember seeing on a live stream. He was setting up some of these things where you can equip units with specific items. So I guess when you go to the market, like villages, you can buy things and equip them. Some of these are consumables. Some of them are items that are, I believe, that are equipped by the units. So you can give a unit maybe faster movement speed if you buy them boots, or faster reload speed if you buy them a pouch of ammo or something like that. So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the item system from Total War, Warhammer 3, but you can't. In Warhammer 3, you can only put it on your lords, your legendary lords and heroes and stuff. Here, you could actually put it on the individual units, which I guess makes sense because that's all you have is units.
Forests, back roads, and battlefields.
This kind of reminds me of some of the older games, the older indie games like Faster Than Light. I've got, I don't know, 200-300 hours in Faster Than Light, which is, it's a fun little game. It's not very long, but it has a lot of replayability. So the campaign map kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if it's going to have the same replay value. It feels, just looking at all the amount of combinations that you can choose between the units, between the kingdoms that you can choose from, the different bonuses you can go with, stacking modifiers, all that stuff. It feels like you can have a massive amount of replayability with this. So I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see, but I do have good vibes, a good feeling from this so far.
Supplies will dwindle. The men will tire.
Now here is an interesting one. So this is a troop upgrade tree. So they start as a royal recruit and they can go all the way over here for cavalry. And it looks like the cavalry probably splits off into a melee, and it does. Yeah, so a melee and a firearm. And then here you've got the volontaire fusilier. They split into cavalry, chasseurs, or grenadiers. That's kind of interesting. I think chasseurs, if I'm not mistaken, are the skirmisher infantry. Let's see what else they got. So fusilier into different,
Yes.
fusilier or grenadier, Irish grenadier, German fusilier. See, this is the thing, like, you don't usually see this stuff in other games too much, but this guy knows his history, so it's like he knows what unit was in the French army. So he knows there were French, there were Irish, there were German, there were Swiss, there were all kinds of different nationalities in their army. I think a lot of other games, they would probably shy away from this just because maybe the complexity, or maybe they feel like, oh, people wouldn't understand it unless they knew the history. This guy doesn't care. Like, he knows the history, he's confident in it, he just puts it in. So like I said, do you need this many units? Probably not. You could probably simplify this, but to me personally, as a player, I love this. You know, I love being able to, you can do a French army and then just go all Germans. Why not, right?
You must
All right, what do we got here? This is the Cantonists, so this is the Prussians. They've got a little bit of cavalry, fusilier again, musketeers, and then the artillery. Okay, here we go. So this is the interesting part. So you start out with a very small army, and then you kind of build it out as you go along in the campaign. So that's kind of cool. You get, I guess, a commander, I guess a divisional commander. I don't know what that would be, what the proper rank term would be for that. But for every commander, you can have 4 divisions within them. And then how many of these can you get?
Raise more than a division.
Three,
You'll
four,
raise an army.
five. So you can get 5 times 4, so 20 units. And each unit can be anywhere from 400 on the bottom end up to, or 300 for artillery, I guess, all the way up to, I've seen, I think 14 or 1600. Yeah, there's 1600 units here. That's a lot of people on the battlefield. So I'm kind of curious to see what the performance is. If you have 2 armies that are just fully decked out with a massive amount of units, I'm kind of curious to see how many units you can get on there, and if it chugs at all. So, oh, actually, I didn't realize this when I watched it the other time, but you can see all the stats at the bottom. So looking down here, these guys have an ammo pouch, a smoke pipe, some kind of cross. I don't know what these other things are, but yeah, like I said, a lot of these are probably items that he equipped personally, and they give them bonuses. So that's super interesting. Might get a little grindy if you're doing that times this many units. I know it kind of reminds me of the companion only campaigns that I like to do for Bannerlord. And once you start to get to like, I don't know, 20, 30 companions, and you're having to equip each of them individually and choose the perks for each of them individually. And I know this is different, this is not the same thing, but just saying, it can get a little bit tedious. So I'm curious if I'm understanding this correct or not, if you can customize this, or I'd be curious to see if there's an auto upgrade button for this so that you don't have to do it. Kind of like equip best item in Bannerlord. That mod is such a it saves me so much time, essentially. I don't play companion only campaigns without it. So it would be cool if they had it in this. They may or may not. I don't know. I didn't ask him. So let's finish
Just
this
be
up.
sure you can hold it.
God, look at how many freaking units that is. That I would love to have just a whole battery of cannons right here and just solid shot right through there.
Together. Strategize.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, these, holding fire, volley fire and all that stuff, there's something about it that I just really enjoy. I tried to do it in Bannerlord a couple times. It doesn't really, you can't really pull it off, but
Survive and lead your men to glory. Become the master of command.
so here we go. Wish list it now. Definitely go throw him some support if you can. If this is a game that interests you, definitely take a look. Throw it on your wish list. It makes a big difference for these smaller, especially the smaller developers, because the bigger developers, they've got massive budgets for marketing and all these other things. He's a YouTuber and he's trying to strike out and make some games. He puts a lot of hard work and passion into these things. So anything we can do to help him out, I think is a good thing. So there's a couple other things I wanted to share with you, but let me load that up real quick. 1 second. All right, so this was, and for some reason there's no sound on this one, but this was, I believe, some of the recording that he had used to get the shots for the trailer. So he wanted to share that. This is a little bit longer. There's 4 minutes. We'll kind of skip through and look for some interesting parts here. But if you look at, we can zoom in here a little bit and look at the how smooth that animation is. It looks really clean. And I see they did the line fire. So the first row shot, they knelt down. Second row, see they're gonna kneel. Second row, place and fire. Really cool. I love the animations on that. I know some people aren't too crazy about the art style, and I'm not. I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure if I like it or not. But as you could tell with some of the games that I've covered, like some of the other games that I've covered, like Songs of Six, you could probably tell that I really don't care about graphics all that much, to be honest. As long as the gameplay's good, I'll play it. So whether the graphics are good or not, I guess it's super subjective. I don't really pay too much attention to that. If the gameplay's good, and it looks like it is, if the gameplay's good here, for sure I will definitely recommend it. So let's get a little bit more. Let's see if we can find some more interesting spots. Now this is the part that gets me going. Look at that. Look at that artillery. Shakes the screen and everything. That is so cool. Okay, so there was some artillery impacts. If you look right here, there's an artillery battery right here. They're gonna streak some shots across these guys right here. Yeah, just oh look at that. That is such a nasty shot. It hit the back rank and it blasted, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these guys. And then the ball continued to skip, and it looks like it's hitting these guys back here. I'm gonna have such a fun time. Maybe just get like a skeleton crew, a front line to hold people in place, and just blast the crap out of people with artillery. We'll see if it's doable. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I know it wasn't really a thing in real life because you could just rush the artillery, but maybe if you have I don't know what a skeleton crew would look like, but I thought this looked pretty cool. So here's a infantry charge. The two lines are about to meet, and you can see they ready bayonets as soon as they get close. The lines are meeting. That's something I need to work on. I'm more of a from a distance fighting. I don't really like to get up close like this, although I know sometimes it's pretty important to do. But I'm kind of curious to see how that works. It looks, yeah, they're fighting. Oh, and they just got busted. So that didn't last too long. That would definitely be me. I'd rather stand back and shoot them. Here we go. Here's some good volley fire exchanges. And you can see the people are dropping. And once they drop, the rear ranks pull up to take their spot. Here's another one. So the British are charging, and the French just unleashed a pretty nasty volley. Look at how many bodies there are. My God, that's a lot of dead people. I mean, that's a lot of firearms. Yeah, see, there's no bodies here, and then after the shot, they all go down. It makes sense because they're a lot closer. So my guess is your aim diminishes the further, or the damage potential diminishes the further away from the target you are. So that would be something to look closer at. But that's the end of that trailer. I've got one more image I wanted to share and talk about. So this is something that probably doesn't apply to too many people, but it definitely applies to me. So I did want to talk about it for a sec. So campaign settings, there's different things you can activate or deactivate depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So you can see here at the top, all these green ones, these give you some bonuses. So army XP gain 15%, or yeah, plus 15, morale 15, campaign movement speed, etc. The red ones give you debuffs. So higher tier units are much less common. Resources and items cost at settlement plus 50, etc., all the way down to experience gain minus 50. These are, if you're trying to find a difficult campaign to run, you would probably want to pick a bunch of these or all of them, kind of like KCD2 when you do the all negative perk challenge on hardcore. So this would definitely be hardcore with Iron Man mode on. So pretty interesting. But then I also like the fact that he included the green ones. So if you're new, you just want to, or you're casual, you just want to have fun and goof off, or whatever it is that makes you happy, they've got options for both. So pretty interesting to see. And I like that some of these are pretty creative. Like there's some generic ones, the XP, that's whatever, morale, campaign movement speed. I get that. You got to have those. But there's some interesting ones here as well. So like the enemy HQ growing faster, that seems pretty interesting. So I guess the HQ, if I'm not mistaken, is where the final battle boss starts to grow. And the faster he grows, the sooner he'll come out and hunt you down. So you're supposed to defeat them, but you need time to go around the map to build up your forces. So this basically pushes the timeline forward pretty quickly. Yeah, some of these seem pretty brutal, especially if you do them all at once. So I don't know how hard this game's going to be, but if you activate all of these, I would imagine pretty damn tough. Interesting. But, anyways, yeah, like I said, this is a game that really interests me. I am trying to play early access. I'll see if he's able to do that. I don't know. We'll see. I will keep you guys posted and let you know what I find out. My first impressions when I play it, I'll probably do when it comes out. I'll probably do some challenge runs and campaigns for the Let's Play channel. I would love to do some guides as well. We'll see how that goes. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will be happy to answer what I know. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot. We're seeing this mostly at the same time. I have talked to Griffin a couple times, but he didn't share a whole lot more than what's shared in the trailer and in the Discord. So also, quick question. Let me know if you like these types of videos. This is fully unscripted. I don't usually do these. I typically talk with a script, but I'm trying to do more videos, and that means I need to do videos with less polish. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments, what to improve on, or if I nailed it, which we all know I didn't. But we'll see you on the next video. Take care.